All right, viewers, welcome to another episode from Anything About Everything. And I'm so excited for today's episode. It's going to be about yoga, and I have Ranjan here with me.
Adesh.
Ranjan, welcome to the show. What is Adesh? Adesh, what is it?
Um, so when we say yoga, first of all, that's got like so many different lineages, right?
Uh-huh.
What you see in the West is just asana practice.
Asana
But
practice, right?
traditionally, yoga is more about connecting with the divine.
Mm-hmm.
The lineage that I'm in, it's tantric lineage.
Okay.
Okay. And more specifically, if you are initiated by
Uh-huh.
an agora or someone like that, you always start with Adesh. Adesh. Adesh means command. So what I'm saying is like commanded by the superior force.
Oh, okay. And then you spoke about lineage. Can you give me more insight about that? You said now it's Tantric. What was before? Like, I want to know more about that.
So when we say tantric, right, it's again categorized as dual and non-dual.
Okay.
Okay. So when we say dual, it's like I and the world.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it like that, right?
Okay.
Non-dual is no, everything is me. I am the world, and the world is me. Okay.
Okay.
And for these different concepts or philosophies, right? Because again, uh, for Sanatana Dharma, a lot of people use the word Hinduism, but there's no word called Hinduism at all.
Wait, why?
Um, Hinduism is actually a word coined by the British.
Okay, I didn't know this.
It was never our own thing at all, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I mean, if someone asks what am I in religion, I say Hindu. So what am I then?
You're a follower of Sanatana Dharma.
Follower of Sanatana Dharma. Okay.
And the beauty of it is you don't have to follow anyone at all. As long as you have a good conduct
Uh-huh.
and good values and you're not exploding on violence, for lack of a better word, and then torturing other people, and
Uh-huh.
then you mind your own business and promote peace and happiness within yourself and to the world, you're a follower of that.
Oh, okay. It's not like you have to follow certain gods to be a certain religion.
As a matter of fact, there's a particular lineage which is actually atheistic, and
Right.
even that is approved.
In Sanatana.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I see this more as a way of living than
That is exactly the way it is, right? Sanatana Dharma is eternal rules of life. That's all it is.
wow. I'm exploding with so many questions, but
Go on.
but wait, I wanna touch yoga first, and probably I want to do another episode about completely like how did this take place, like at what point like this happened. I'm sure you have all the answers, but I want to touch more about yoga.
I don't know if I have all the answers, but I can try.
Okay, going back to yoga. Um, Before going to ask more about yoga, I want to know more about your background. Why did you start? When did you started doing yoga, and what? How did you choose doing yoga? Like, was there any event that led to it? What was it?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Oof, where do I even start? Hmm. Okay, so I was born into a Brahmin family.
Okay.
Okay, so not that I believe in it, or
Mhm.
not that my family is like super strict about it, right? As a matter of fact, it's a matter of disgrace because I used to eat meat and everything when I was a kid,
Okay.
and which is not something that Brahmins are supposed to do.
Absolutely correct.
Um, but my family was cool with that, right? And but in the grand scheme of things, well, let's take a step back. When I was in India, I went to Satya Sai Vidya Vihar,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a good school. I had the luxury of meeting like some really good teachers and everyone, but I was always averse to the idea of trying to find God in the human form,
Okay.
right?
And this was in school.
In school, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And if you know the place Puttaparthi,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
we have Sai Baba, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not going to go more about him or into him because that's I don't have anything against him, right? But I think he's a human being. He's a good human being
Okay.
who's trying to do good to people. But I would not know if I would elevate him or put him at the level of Shiva or at the
Okay.
level of Vishnu or
Okay.
something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But since I went to that school, everyone started him revering to him as God.
Right. I
Right?
went to a school like that where we had to revert to him as God. Okay.
You can feel it, right? So I think what that did to me was that turned me into a complete brat.
Okay.
You know,
Like
it's like,
revolt.
yeah, it's like, no, I'm not going to go do all these prayers and everything. And there was a period of time when I was an atheist, actually,
Okay. Okay.
really strong atheist,
Okay.
and in India, when you grew up, I don't know, but Che Guevara was like a really big force back
Right.
when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when you're going into that sort of mode, you want to not believe in anything superficial,
Right.
right? I was in that phase for a little bit, right? But when my father died when I was a kid, okay, so the question of supernatural started haunting me at that point, but not in a illogical way or not in a supernatural way, but in a way in like, okay, what happens to a person after he dies, right? Is there a way for me to connect to my father,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing? I did not find the answers, but I found a path that might give me the answers.
Okay.
Okay, and that path happens to be spirituality. And as corny and as stupid as this answer might sound, I think it's the first basic step that everyone has to explore. I was like, okay, where can I find real enlightened people?
Mhm.
I was not open to the idea that you would find them in like cities and at your workplace and things like that. I was more ascribing to the idea of, oh, you go off to the Himalayas or you go off to like Varanasi or some place like that, and that's where you find these people, right? And I was like, okay, I'm going to go off to the Himalayas and I'm going to try to find an enlightened being,
Mm-hmm.
try to get my answers from this person. I was like, okay, but what do I do when I go to the Himalayas? And then I'm like, okay, what do these people do? And then they're in a seated posture
Mm-hmm.
without any movement. I was like, okay, so the first step that I have to do is be in that posture.
Mm-hmm.
And that led to my asana practice.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
from the asana practice, I was like, what's the next thing that we'll do? Okay, so I'm able to sit now. And that took a long time. It took me like almost like 3 years to sit comfortably for like just 15 minutes without having any pain.
Okay.
It's not easy. It's not easy, right?
When you say seated position, like what position was it?
I'm
Is it
talking about lotus, Padmasana.
okay? Padmasana. Okay.
Yeah. You have like certain postures. One is Padmasana, one is Siddhasana.
Mm-hmm.
Any posture which is comfortable, where, wow, engage your Mula Bandha and
Mm-hmm.
your Muladhara Chakra. That is a good posture.
And I want viewers to understand what is Mula Bandha, and I mean I get it, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want them to understand.
So, in the grander scheme of things, Mula Bandha is engaging your a lock. Bandha is a lock.
Okay.
Mula is the root.
Okay.
Okay. And when we say Mula, the root is it's in the genital organs region.
Okay.
Okay. So um, I think the easiest way to explain that is going to be like the Kegels workout.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people might be able to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine like you're driving
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to go use the restroom really, really bad,
It's
right?
happened to me. Yep.
But you can't.
Yeah.
So what you do is you suck up all your energy upwards, right? That is engaging in.
Okay. Can I correct me if I'm wrong? Can I say engaging my core a lot?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
The first part is engaging the Mula Bandha. The second one is engaging the core.
Okay.
That is called Uddiyana Bandha.
Okay.
There's a different lock for that as well.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then they also engage the throat lock. That is called Jalandhara Bandha.
Mula Bandha, core, and then throat is
Correct.
another.
And then when
Okay.
you combine all three, it is called Mahabandha, the great lock.
Okay.
So that way, when you do that, most of your thoughts are like off. They switch off.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So now going back to seated position, and it took 3 years for you to just comfortably sit
Correct.
in that position.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the fascination of Himalayas, I think, was just innate. If you ask me why was it, I just don't know. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Maybe that's what we call grace, anugraha. That's the
Mm-hmm.
word, right?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a tangent,
Yeah.
but two words over here that are important are nigraha and anugraha.
Nigraha and anugraha. Okay.
Nigraha is forgetting yourself
Okay.
in like the daily nuances of life or being in the state of not so conscious state. I won't say unconscious, but not so conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, for example, when we wake up the first thing in the morning, we just go like zombies, we brush our teeth, we do like the daily rituals, whatever it is, right? But we are not paying like attention to the task that we are doing.
Right. It's
So
just like automatic,
it's not
automated.
right. It's like on autopilot. That is a state of nigra.
Okay.
Okay. But when you are, let's say, the first time you went to Universal Studios, right? You were paying extreme attention to
Yes.
detail.
Yes.
Everything that you've seen there, every ride that you got on,
Yes. Yes.
that is called anugraha.
Okay.
Paying,
Attention.
yeah,
Paying close attention.
correct, correct.
Yeah.
That's in a very simple term. Now,
Mhm.
we are not taking that on a whole, you know, the entire spiritual realm, because that's, if you want to go to that level, there's like 5 states.
Okay.
Srishti, Sthiti, and between the pralaya and sthiti, there is nigraha,
Uh-huh.
which is forgetfulness, and then anugraha, which is getting back to your realization, and then there is pralaya or
Okay.
samhara.
Pradaya or Samhara.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. These are the 5 states, and these are the responsibilities of God Himself.
Okay.
So even God forgets Himself. it's a whole different literature. Yeah. So that's going to be a whole different episode in itself.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But back to it. So it took me almost 3 years to be able to sit in my lotus posture and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I was like, okay, so now this I'm able to do with a little bit of comfort. I
Mm-hmm.
won't say even with mastery level or something. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the Himalayas. So last year I went to Himalayas after everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I had the fortune of meeting some truly enlightened people.
Wow.
Yeah,
And how was that experience meeting the enlightened people? Like when you
beyond
say,
vocabulary.
when you say enlightened, right? I want to know more of this. Like how do you say this person is enlightened? How do you know this person is enlightened? Like if I come across someone, how do I say this person is enlightened?
Hmm. So I can tell you my experience,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that experience changes from person to person. Right?
Right.
There's no one size fits all kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing over here. Right. So when I went to the Himalayas, my mother tongue is Telugu. Okay. Um, so when I went there, the first person that I met, I was talking in Hindi.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty
In the
fluent in
northern,
Hindi as
yeah.
well. Yeah, yeah. And then the person stops me and he's like, talk in the language that is comfortable to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I was like, I started talking in English. It's like, no, talk in the language that is comfortable to you. And then I started talking in Telugu. It's like, there we go. Now, and then he started talking in Telugu.
You start talking Telugu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the first time that happened, that's all right, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I met another person, same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, second time can't be coincidence, or unless they're running like a school over here where they're like multilingualistic.
All language school.
Correct. And I was like, that doesn't sound like a fathomable idea. So obviously they're able to read me through.
Uh-huh.
They're able to try to understand, okay, this person has some questions.
Mm-hmm.
So let's understand the question in a language that is comfortable to him and to us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let's find that happy medium. It's almost like when you go into any meeting,
Mm-hmm.
client meeting or something like that, you might know the language, but if the other person is not from the US, or if they're from somewhere else, right? You know how you make that subtle change to
Yes.
get to that level? It's almost like that.
Okay.
I think
Makes
that's the
sense.
best way to put it across.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And since that was the first step, my confidence was already high. And I was like, okay, these people are going to give me the answers, right? And then the next thing is I tell them, okay, what do I do to become a yogi? And then the answer that I got was, what makes you think you're not a yogi?
Okay.
You're already doing everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and then they were like, you are a sadhaka. Sadhaka is a practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what are you doing? Just keep doing that. That's all it is.
Okay.
And when you have distractions, realize what is a distraction and realize whether it is going to fit into the grand scheme of things for your goal, for your objectives or not. If it is not, chuck it aside. If it is going to fit, explore that idea of it. See how exactly you can fit that piece in your puzzle.
Hmm.
So, and those answers, right, as normal as they sound, right, when the right person tells you that answer, I think that's when you realize, okay, this is the answer that I'm seeking, and this is the answer that I got. And hence, this person is enlightened being. Or, in a fun or comical way, maybe you won't get enlightenment until you spend like $3,000 to go to Himalayas, and that's when you find it. Whichever approach suits you.
So what you said you were seeking for some answers. If I'm not overstepping, what answers were you seeking?
I think the question that I still struggle with, and a little bit, it's reduced, right? It's like, who am I? Who is this person? Because the name that I have is not something that I chose. The body that I got is not something that I chose. The lifestyle that I have, right? As much as we think that it is something that I chose, it is not. Right? There's so many other factors that are contributing to everything that you have in your life right now. So even that is not your own, right? So if I have to remove all of these societal conditions, if I have to remove each and every single uh, bit of my existence, what am I left with? Who am I? I think when you find that answer, or the person who found that answer is the
enlightened being.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Again, much of so much of my knowledge comes from like meeting people, and some of it also comes from YouTube as well. So I also struggle with this question: Who am I? I've not gone into deep, like spirituality, like how you have. But one of the videos said, if you know the answer of who am I or what life is, I think it's the end of the world.
I think it's the end of your purpose in life.
Yes.
Oh, it's the beginning of a new journey. It depends on how you look at it.
Now you added a new twist to it.
See, because it depends, like, how do I say this? As a kid, growing up in India, I'm sure you had this experience because every single person that I met with has this experience, right? It's like when you're in your 10th grade, remember how your parents tell you,
10th,
once you get your 10th, your life is
yes,
set, right?
exactly.
Is your life set?
No,
Is your life set now?
no.
When is your life going to be set?
I mean, I'm trying to still figure out.
Exactly. I think the process of enlightenment is also the same thing. You try to go out, figure out who am I. Once you figure that out, it's like, okay, I figured out who I am. Now, who is Shiva? The next question, the perpetual question of eternity starts coming in. So it's a never-ending journey.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So that's the answer that you were trying to seek.
yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And when you figure out who you are, when you figure out if and when you figure out who you are, and if and when you figure out who Shiva is, then you start trying to maybe establish a connection between what is the connection between me and Shiva, or what is the connection between me and Jesus, or what is the connection between me and Allah, whatever it is, right? Of all the things in the universe, why did this being or this force think that it was important for me to be in this world as well? Right? It's like, what are the odds? I mean, from a pure reproduction perspective, one in like what 100,000 or 1 in 1 million sperm cells needs to hit the ovary, and that's when you are born.
Right.
Right. So when you think about it, your existence is a lottery. Right.
Just being born.
Just being
Just
is a
being born.
lottery. Yeah. It's like a golden chance. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
Because of their circumstances, and that's to their own perception. I'm not going to blame them, right?
Okay.
But it can be coincidence that so many people have this golden lottery, right?
Yeah.
So what is the force that is running behind this golden lottery? I think that's the perpetual question to ask.
Interesting. It's a nice way to put it across. Yeah. I mean, I'm exploding with so many thoughts already. Anyways, going back to the yoga part, so that's how you started yoga. That's how you started practicing yoga. And what age was that, roughly?
So when I first started doing yoga, again, this is going to be interesting, right? And this is going to. So when I first started doing my yoga postural practice, I was 4 years old.
4 years.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Okay.
like I said, in Satsai Vidyavihar,
Yeah.
they would
Yes.
engage you in classes
Correct.
like these,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And I had the luxury of also going to like Bhagavad Gita classes and things like that. And when I was 6 in my first grade, I actually won a Bhagavad Gita recital
Oh
competition.
wow.
My family members believe it. I was like, this guy and winning, it's just because he's the teacher's favorite student, he just got it. But whatever it was, it started instilling that feeling in me. It's like, okay, I'm able to recite these things, right? Again, I don't believe in coincidences anymore, right? It's like there is something that is guiding you towards a path.
Okay.
You can't always have coincidences. Once is a coincidence. Second time, maybe. But when it's starting to happen over and again, right? Either you are actively seeking it, or whatever it is seeking you. And that's why your paths are like converging at some point. And I think yoga for me is as
That
such as
interesting. One question: Do you believe in luck?
no.
Okay.
I don't believe in luck. As a matter of fact, uh, you speak Kannada, right?
I speak Kannada.
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
What do we call luck in Kannada? Adrushta?
Adrushta.
Yeah. Let's break down that word,
Mhm.
right? What is drishti?
Vision.
Vision.
Like, yeah,
What is adrishti?
probably opposite of.
Opposite of it, right?
Yeah,
So luck is something that you have not imagined. That's all there is.
luck is something you have not imagined.
Or visualized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is always there. You just did not see it. That's all there is to it.
Okay. Amazing way of putting it across. Okay. Interesting. I just asked that question because you said there's no coincidence, and that led me to that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you started practicing yoga when you were 4, you led through it.
And then after that, so from 4 to like 8, I was pretty okay at it. I was able to do back bends and I was
Mhm.
able to sit in posture even, when I was a
Mhm.
4-year-old. But I think that most of the 4-year-olds
Yeah.
can do. They
Yeah.
have like extreme flexibility, right?
Exactly.
And then afterwards, Ritik Roshan happened when I was in my teenage.
Mhm.
And I traded yoga for like, look,
Dance.
aesthetic looks and, everything. And then afterwards, I was like, clearly, I'm having a pretty good physique and everything,
Mhm.
but I'm still in pain. I'm not flexible,
Mhm.
right? So I want to increase flexibility because what good is a fantastic physique when I'm not able to sit comfortably on the floor?
Right.
What good is this body if I'm going through like shoulder pain and waking up with like pain every single day when I
Mhm.
wake up in the morning? Um, and this is for all the viewers and everyone, right? Most of the celebrities who actually do strength training also incorporate flexibility as well
Into their
into their
fitness, is it?
Yes, absolutely,
All of them.
absolutely. Most of them.
Okay.
Whether you take it Chris Hemsworth or even Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Mhm.
He's in his recent podcast. He's like, well, I'm trying to change the way I work out.
Mm.
People always change the way they work out based on what their body is telling them. So don't just blindly follow an idol. Look at their lifestyle as well.
Hmm.
I think that's the key if you're trying to metamorph into something that you have a goal towards being.
Interesting. So yeah, you wanted to get back into more of flexibility, then you started doing more yoga.
Yeah.
So is there, I'm trying to think questions more about yoga here. So I'm not flexible as well.
You are flexible.
You think so?
It's just going to take a little bit of time. That's all.
Okay.
Can you do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, your fingers are already flexible.
Okay. If you put it across that way, yeah. But when I bend in the front, I cannot touch my feet. So that's
You have not practiced it,
okay.
right? How okay. Let's put it this way, okay? Starting today, okay, every day when you take a shower, just do a forward fold. Just try to bend and touch your toes
Mhm.
every single day, okay? And do that for like 25 breaths when you're in the shower,
Mhm.
okay? And then you will start realizing, okay, I'm increasing my flexibility. Everything in life is practice and consistency. That's all there is to it.
Got it. Got it. And what would you suggest? Like, is there any kind of age or any kind of sort of, like, how do I put this across without coming across in a different way?
Go,
If
bring it on in the way you want to bring it on.
if anybody has any sorts of disease or any sorts of thing,
Mhm.
should they avoid? Is there any people who should not do yoga?
No, but there are certain postural practices, and
Mm-hmm.
there are certain now you get to enter a new world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, kriyas
Mm-hmm.
that a person should not be doing when they're going through a certain state of mind, or
Okay.
when they're going through a certain state of physiology.
Certain state of mind and physiology. Okay.
Yeah, a woman is on a heavy bleeding day
Mm-hmm.
of their cycle, right? Don't do an inversion on that.
Okay. Okay.
It's common sense when
Okay.
you think about it, right?
Makes
So
sense. Yeah.
things like that. You find all these rules clearly documented way back in the
Mm-hmm.
Veda, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of people think that you'll find the answers to the postural practice in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, but no. To understand more about the practice of the posture, pick up this book called Hatha Yoga Pradipika.
Hatha Yoga Pradipika.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That will tell you about what a practice of asana is. It breaks down each of the things. Now, the practice that I do is called Mysore Ashtanga.
Mm-hmm.
So it's we spoke about it, right?
Yes.
Yep, yep. And it was by Sri Patavi Joyce.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's a lineage,
Okay.
like I said, right? Because I want to have the authenticity. I don't want to just go into like random classes and then every day there's like some random posture over there. I for some reason my mind is not tuned to it. I need to have consistency. So the practice that we do is the same exact postural practice every day in the morning.
Got it.
You do it first thing in the morning, and then the rest of the day is yours.
Got it. Got it. My question here is like, what are the different kinds of yoga? You said about your practice of yoga. So, what are the different kinds of yoga?
So yoga in itself does not have different styles per se. Right?
Okay.
It's the lineage that has different styles.
Okay.
So, okay, let's put it. Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you a counter question.
Uh-huh.
What do you think is the word yoga mean?
I personally feel yoga means stretching.
That's incorrect.
No, yoga means moving your body according to a breath.
Incorrect.
No? Okay. I go
Let
on.
me let me go.
Yeah.
That's fine because that's how the pop industry or the modern
Yeah. Yeah.
world shows you.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
yoga. The word yoga actually comes from the root word yuk or
You.
yoke.
Okay.
It just means union,
Oh, okay.
union of yourself with the divine.
With the divine.
Yeah.
Okay.
The practice that I have, I can speak about that.
Uh-huh.
Right. There's so many other practices as well. Right. Like for example, there is Kundalini yoga.
Kundalini. That's one big question that I have as well. Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh. I'll save it for the later.
And then there is Ashtanga yoga.
Ashtanga yoga,
Okay.
Kundalini Ashtanga.
Yeah, and from the later parts, right, you'll start seeing Paramahamsa Yogananda ji, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He has something called Kriya Yoga.
Kriya yoga,
Okay, and then afterwards came in Nada Yoga.
Nada yoga.
Yeah,
Can you give one sentence for each, like what it actually means? Do you know anything about it? Like basics. Like I know Kriya, is it?
end of it, the goal of everything is still the same.
Okay.
Okay, it's just that think about it this way.
Mhm.
I think this would be a pretty good example for it, right? Why do you eat? To gain energy, right?
Yeah.
But again, different recipes or different kinds of food, the purpose is still the same. You just have different flavors.
Yes, yes.
I
I
think
know
this
what
is
you're
something
saying.
like
It's like I mean, I was listening to a podcast. He says there's something called basic motive and superior motive. Like
that.
when you have sex, the basic motive is to have like to have fun,
Reproduce.
like to, and the ulterior motive is to reproduce. So basically, the ulterior motive stays the same. The basic motives like evolve based on what your body prefers or what you prefer.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And also when you think about it, right? So the legend of yoga goes so much more deeper and deeper into our understanding, right?
Mhm.
This is from Sadhguru and the Isha Foundation,
Mhm.
right? So they have something called Isha Kriya Yoga.
Isha Kriya Yoga, heard of it? Yes.
But at the end of the day, most of the things, right, that all the lineages say are still the same. They just have like a slight different variation in the postural practice or in the breath work or something of that sort. But then everyone is telling the same thing. Now, if you go to John Doe's yoga class
Mhm.
for like a bigger booty, pardon me on that one, I can help you there.
So what about this Bikram yoga? What is that?
Did you see the documentary
I
on
did. I
Netflix?
did.
Yeah, I think that explains it, right? Do I need to go more and further deeper into that? Let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I think the bigger question to ask is, why do all these yoga gurus become like that?
Yes.
I think that's a bigger
Yeah.
question to
Yeah.
ask, right? Let's not focus more on Bikram or on one particular
Yeah. Yeah.
certain person, right? I think it's a two-sided problem. It's like the first thing is these people gain certain insight. It's like, they gain certain powers. And the word power is also actually mentioned in yoga and in a beautiful way, right? It's called Siddhi.
Okay.
Okay. In one of the uh, writings of Shiva's literature, right, it is mentioned that, when you're doing these practices, you start getting certain powers. Okay.
Oh.
You can start seeing and you can start foresee things and things like that, and you start attracting people and you have like this natural charisma and all of these things, right? And then what happens is since you gain this power, you start becoming power hungry.
When you say power hungry, more power. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then in that mode of being power hungry, you forget your ultimate goal.
Okay. Why you started in?
Now that is one side of the problem, right?
Mhm.
That is the teacher side of the problem.
Mhm.
Okay. Now the student side of the problem is they come in with so many traumas or so many troubles or so many desires I'm not having a flexible body, so please help me, get like a better body or something like that. And then they stick to the practice for like, let's say 6 months or 1 year, then they do it so well, and then the teacher is guiding them so well. Now they start elevating the teacher to the level of God. So it's a two-sided problem. I think the word that I want to use here is called vichikshana. It's called discrimination in the
Okay.
okay. It's called vichikshana gyan, right? It's great. And when I say discrimination, right, it's not discrimination against people, like trying to discern your own thoughts. It's like, okay, is this going to help me or is this going to hurt me in the grand scheme of things? I think that's the one that we want to have. And one of that actually is, it's also laid out in the Ashtanga yogas, the one that we follow. It's got Ashtanga called 8 limbs, right?
8 limbs. Yes.
It's got nothing to do with the physical limbs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's called the yamas, niyamas, uh, and then the pranayama, asana, pratyahara, dhyana, dharana, samadhi. Right? The ultimate goal of any yoga is samadhi.
Samadhi.
That's it.
So we spoke about every kinds of yoga. And what does BKS Iyengar
So
practice?
BK's Iyengar yoga, and so okay, a little bit of a recap on this one. BK's Iyengar and Sri Patapi Joyce, who was the father of our lineage, right? They both had the same teacher.
They both went to
Yeah,
same guru.
yeah.
Okay.
I think his name is Krishnamurti. I think that's his name.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he had another teacher who's Baba Ram Mohan Das, right? Baba Brahmachari is what we call him. He's from the Himalayas again, I think. So he actually gave the knowledge to Krishnamacharya. That's what we call it. So Krishnamacharya had multiple disciples. One of them is Patabi Joyce, one of them is BK Iyengar, right? Patabi Joyce, and in the grand scheme of things, the difference between Iyengar yoga and Mysore style Ashtanga yoga, right, is that in Mysore style, back in the day, we were not allowed to use any props. When I say props, like yoga blocks or something like that sort.
Yeah, yeah.
Iyengar yoga is about, you can use props and you can use blocks, and then but most of the sequence is still
Same.
somewhere similar. Yeah, yeah.
Got it. You touched. Okay, before asking that question, I'll tell you, I practiced yoga as well in India. I studied.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I did yoga. I've competed in few of the yoga competitions and stuff. I was flexible back then, and then when I came to US, I didn't practice. I After school I stopped practicing yoga. Went sports, and Ritik Roshan happened to you. For me, India. I mean, from Karnataka, Upendra happened to me.
Yeah.
Upendra happened to me. So, yeah, college life, living it, and no yoga, nothing. Started working out, then came to US, figured my body's not flexible at all, started getting injured. And then I was like, let me practice yoga. And I started going to yoga class. And there was a night and day difference between what used to happen in India in my school and here in US, right? I'm gonna refer it to as more of Eastern, like Eastern and Western. So in Eastern, we don't have music. And like you said, we do the poses, hold the poses for a longer time. It's and like you can feel the stretch. And then when I came here, there's a hip hop music or some music being played, and there's a flow, like you move quick. And I felt like I couldn't get what I wanted from yoga. So my question to you is one of them right and one of them wrong? Or if it's different, how is it different?
Um,
Or was I seeing something different?
I think that's a first of all, that's a beautiful question. Thank you for observing that, because a lot of people don't even observe that difference, right? Rather than me giving my own answer, right, I'll give the answer given in the scripture itself,
Okay.
the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the very first Yoga Sutra, right? It says Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Okay,
Means?
what that translates to is yoga is something that should stop the fluctuations in mind.
Okay.
Okay. So, chitta vritti nirodha. Nirodha is stop or
Stop.
terminate, right? Now, if a person is going to a yoga class, and if hip hop music and things like that is what is helping the person to stop the fluctuations in their mind,
So be it.
so be it. And if someone needs to not have any distractions and they need to practice just by themselves with no other living species around them at all, and they need to engage, so be it. Yeah. That's not for me or for someone else to decide, right? However, I would also, well, let's take a step back. Okay. You watch American football?
I do.
Who do you think is the greatest quarterback?
Tom Brady.
What do you think happens in his mind when he steps onto the field?
Oh, he's just laser focused on his goal. He doesn't care who's out there, who's cheering for him. Nothing. His goal is to just get the ball and move it forward as much as possible. That's it.
Correct. Okay. In my mind, when Tom Brady gets onto the field, he's doing yoga,
Correct. Yes.
right?
Right. Right.
There's so many other people. There's like cheerleaders on
Oh
the other
yeah.
side,
So much
the
distraction. So much
and
distraction.
everything, right? He doesn't care. So when you go into a studio, even if there's music and everything, if you are able to get into that zone, right? You
Okay. That's a nice way to put it. Yeah. For me, like I don't know if I came with biases or something because in when I practiced yoga in India, when I used to practice with gurus, they used to literally do the pose and show it to you. Here it's just like very what do you call vocal. They just say, okay, take your right hand, move it back, and move your left leg back. So for me, it was very difficult. So yeah, I felt there was a huge what do you call difference in how they practice yoga here versus there.
Mhm.
Yeah, thanks for answering that question. Absolutely.
also is again, I'm the person who tries to logically dissect things as
Hmm.
far as I can, and when the logic ends, at that point I'm like, okay, let's
Hmm.
now get the zone of spirituality.
Got it.
But I also think spirituality without using logic is pure idiosyncrasy. Right? That's
Mhm.
where you start getting into cultish worship as well.
Right, right, absolutely.
When you think about it, India is like this huge country. We have like this amazing population and everything, right? And there's like so much distraction and everything, right? So for them, they need to be more like, you don't need any more music.
Mm.
There's already like noise and everything outside, right?
Hmm.
But when you come to the US, it's like a huge continent. And
Hmm.
then forget New York and,
Hmm. Yeah.
major cities like this. But otherwise, people are looking for a reason to socialize with another being.
Mm. Yes,
In
that's
India, you
correct.
don't need that
That's
reason.
correct.
So I think maybe somewhere in the DNA, that's how it started happening as well.
Probably. Yeah, that's a good way to put it across. And again, to the viewers, it's not that I hate yoga. I hate doing yoga here. I still do yoga here. I still go to yoga studios. I don't want the yoga studios to think that I'm talking bad about it or something. But
So again,
yeah, it was just my first reaction when I came in and I took my first yoga class. It was like I was practicing completely different, like something else, and I came in expecting something else, and it was completely new to me.
right,
Yeah.
right. I do have to mention something, right? First of all, thank you for all the non-Indians for
Mm-hmm.
taking an interest in yoga and then opening their studios. We are so grateful to you. However, do not culturally appropriate something like this because for you it is just a postural practice, but for us it's a sacred religion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so try to know a little bit, do some homework before trying to introduce your own new lingo and linguistics into these things, and then say let's have a wine yoga class.
Yeah.
That now is stretching
Yeah,
it a
see,
bit,
that's
so
where even I feel like when you do beer yoga, like I'm like, that's
correct.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I completely understand what you're saying because
Yeah.
that's as a matter of fact, I was having this conversation with my teacher who's in India right now.
Uh-huh.
She is in Mysore,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I saw.
She is with Shri Sharatji, who's our
Mm-hmm.
current leader.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had this conversation. I'm like, why do I struggle when people have to like introduce so many new things into the way we practice when we already have how to do it from A to Z?
Correct.
Why do we need to do that?
Correct.
And, but her answer was, you have that idea, you have that wisdom, but not everyone does, and at some point they will get to learn that as well. So until then, be patient.
So yeah, thanks for answering all the questions about the different yoga styles here and there and what leads to one. Um that 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 was a big question that was always in my head, and it's nice to discuss with someone who's been in the same shoes like me and who's practicing, like not only practicing, he's a yoga teacher here himself. Um I want to talk more about Kundalini yoga. I'll tell you why I want to talk more about this. So I was watching this podcast from it's called Iced Coffee Hour from Graham Stephan and Jack, and they have Dr. Alok. And then he goes to India to Mysore as well. I forgot which place, what kind of place it was. It's a very spiritual place where he got his yoga in and stuff. Then he said the first book that they gave him to read was Kundalini Yoga. And then the interviewer asked him, like, can I start reading it? He's like, no, 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 you guys are not ready for it. And then he gives certain things, why and stuff. But I want to hear it from you. What is Kundalini Yoga? And do people have to be ready in a certain way? When I say ready, like, do people have to be at a certain mindset in order to read that and practice that? Sorry, long question.
It's a more than long question. It's a loaded question.
Okay.
For two purposes, right? One is first of all, Kundalini is the hot topic right now in the world. Everyone wants to talk about Kundalini.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
what is Kundalini? You know, how can I evoke Kundalini and everything? Right? You want to go into the true
Yes.
depth of it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Shiva and Shakti.
Okay.
Okay. Let's remember these words for now.
Shiva and Shakti.
Yeah.
Okay. Shiva is the god.
Shiva is the god. Shakti is the goddess.
Goddess. Okay.
The union of both of them is the cause of everything.
Okay.
Okay. According to one particular scripture.
One particular scripture. Okay.
Now the other part of it, right, is different people ascribe that in different ways. Prakriti and Purusha.
Prakriti and Purusha. Yes, I've heard of this. Yes.
Purusha is again the male part of it, and Prakriti is the female part of it. Okay. Kundalini is something that is innate to all living beings. Okay. We specifically talk about Kundalini in human beings because of our form of expression.
Right.
We have more expression than any other living creature, right? And Shiva is considered to reside in the head near the Sahasrara chakra. Okay. And Kundalini Shakti, when she's dormant, is supposed to be residing in your Mooladhara chakra.
Okay.
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 So the practice of invoking Kundalini energy, the goal of it essentially is to make sure that she meets with Shiva so that there is the divine union. And then you can see that divine union and you become enlightened.
Okay.
That is one part of it. Now, the other part of it is, does a person need to be ready for Kundalini Yoga or to invoke that energy? So, the second part of it is, should a person be ready and things like that? It's completely up to the mother's command. Who are you and I to decide that? That is Kundalini deciding herself. The other lineage, right? The one that from pure tantric perspective, the lineage that I'm in, right? It's Kashmir tribes, essentially, right? So there is this author called Rajanaka Kshemaraja. Okay? He's written a book called Pratavijnana Hriday, the recognition sutras. The very first verse in that is Chitti Swatantra Vishwa Siddhi Hetu.
Okay.
Says translation of it. Again, the translation is provided by my teacher. His name is Harish. So fortunate to have found him in my lifetime. It's just divine grace. Right? He's a scholar. He's a we'll speak more about him. Right? The way it is essentially translated as consciousness, free and independent, is the cause of everything in this universe.
Say that again.
Consciousness, free and independent, is the cause of everything in this universe.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's loaded. It is like the first time I read that, I was like, poof.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. That being said, do we think we can truly control our consciousness? Consciousness is free.
It's free.
How do you think you can give freedom to something that is
Already free. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. What is what nowadays I hear a word like a lot of people, and I see that Instagram. I feel like sometimes it is commercialized as well. That is again my perspective. I can be completely wrong. They talk about tantric sex. What is that?
just sex? That's all. Well, I find the way you're going. I'm just being like extremely sarcastic. I apologize for that. So there's like Tantra has two paths,
Mm-hmm.
the left-handed path and the right-handed path.
Okay.
Um, Tantric, well, first of all, even before we go to that, right? A lot of people, when we use the word Tantra, or when I say that I'm a Tantric,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their first natural inhibition is they get scared, right? They're like, "Ooh, I gotta stay away from this person," or something like that, right? I think sex has a little bit to do with that, because sex, as much as we are in the 22nd century, it's still a taboo, right? And
Yes.
you know, and when we say tantric sex, we are associating a sacred spiritual practice to something that is such a basic innate act, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the curiosity peaks in people because no other spiritual practice has ever openly spoken about sex.
Mm.
If you think about it, right? It's like most of the other, religions or spiritual practices, right? They don't want to talk about it. They shy away from it.
Correct. Correct.
But in tantra, it's like it's just
It's a
how did you even come into existence?
through that. Yeah.
You know,
Through the union.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, it's a very, very minor aspect of Tantra.
Hmm.
It's probably like 3%, if that. If that. 97% of Tantra has nothing to do with sex at all.
Okay.
And even that is actually a very sacred ritual. It's
Mm-hmm.
not something that anyone, like, people, every once in a while they approach me and they're like, how can I have tantric sex? I'm like,
True. True. Yes.
how can I have
It's
tantric sex?
the
Right?
thing is, I I'm not saying I vouch for these people, but I see where they're coming from, because on Instagram it's like this is the way you're supposed to have if you do this, it's like you're having tantric sex. If you do that, it's like they feed off like carrot and sticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, you're not doing this, that's not tantric sex.
Yeah.
So that's why they might have asked you
Yeah.
that.
So let me break it down to all the neo-tantrics. That's the word that we want to use for them, right? Um, the ritual's name is called Panchamakara.
Panchamakara.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not just sex. It's got a certain kind of rice that you have to obtain, a fish, certain amount of alcohol, um, the person that you're courting,
Mm-hmm.
for lack of a better word, and it's done in a very organized, ritualistic way. Your teacher is actually going to tell you how to do it. He selects an auspicious time. He tells you who the person is going to be and everything. So, and for the most part, right, you don't even do this ritual with someone that you know.
That's interesting.
I've never, for all the viewers, I've never been engaged in it. I just know about it.
So, for lack of better words, again, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
but it sounds like a cult to me, though.
It's not. It is not. Because a cult is something that forces you. Who's forcing you to do this?
I mean, if you really go literally, yeah, it's forcing, but that's correct. That's correct. Nobody's forcing you, but are they brainwashing you though? No.
People are brainwashing themselves. They want to have sex. They want to have it in a holy way.
Uh-huh.
Sex is already holier than thou.
Yeah.
So you don't need to say, oh, like I think the bigger problem over here is they think having tantric sex is going to give them like supernatural powers and everything,
Right.
right? But you gotta be on a certain level of frequency even for that to happen.
Hmm.
You just because you have sex with a partner doesn't give you supernatural powers. I'm sorry to break it down, but that's just the way it is.
So, okay, people who engage, like you mentioned about there's a guru who like lets you know like the process you have to be like at a certain mindset and everything.
Yeah.
So, what is a goal? Like me having sex, there's a different goal,
Yeah.
right? Eventually, it's having kids and
Mm.
stuff. But what is a goal here, though? When people are in that level and they practices, what is their goal?
So I don't know the answer to it. I'm
Okay.
just making an attempt at what I think might be the goal.
Okay.
So I just want to be completely candid on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a different question.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, let's say I'm rubbing someone's sweat all over your body,
Okay.
okay, and it's going to be hot, sticky, humid,
Right.
okay, and then you feel exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
You would you naturally enjoy that process?
Not necessary. No.
Then why are you enjoying sex?
It's a good question. Never thought about it. I would say it's just not sex is just not rubbing sweat,
Mhm.
right? It involves a lot of other activities with that,
Mhm.
which stimulates my body, which wants. me to reach the ultimate pleasure. The ultimate pleasure is so yeah, that's why sex is enjoyable.
Okay.
I don't know if I answered your question, but kinda.
I think you kind of did.
Uh-huh.
Let's put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
After you climax, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your
Yeah.
mind goes numb for a second.
Yes. Yes.
That is the entire reason why you enjoy sex.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
In Tantra, what we do is essentially we show different ways where you can make your mind completely blank. And then we tell them,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
you experience this, you experience this, you experience this. Now let's go on to the higher evolutions.
Okay, it's just not the climax part that you experience, the ultimate, like, what is that? I've I've read it somewhere, like the one of the only physical activities that get you to the numbness is like the climax part of sex.
One of it.
One of it, right?
The other one is, you can use like uh, certain drugs
Yes, yes. I mean,
to numb
yeah,
yourself and
yeah.
everything, but from a physical part of it, absolutely, sex
Sex
does that trick.
does that.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I think I
Did I
yes, you
answer
did.
your
You did.
question?
Yes, you did. You did. I mean, you did say that you didn't know much about it, but I think it's a very convincing answer to me, though.
Yeah.
It's a
So
very convincing answer.
another part of the ritual is called the Niyogi process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So all that is done in that process is you have like a clock between you and your partner, and you don't even get to see their rest of the body.
Hmm.
All that you're doing is just the physical intercourse. That's all.
Wow.
That's how it is. So for everyone who is actually thinking tantric sex is going to be like all these different postural practices and everything, maybe not, because I have not done that. But from what I've known, or from what I've been told by some of my teachers who I had the privilege of meeting in my life, they're like, yeah, you won't even get to see your partner's face.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, what are your thoughts about um psychedelics?
I use marijuana. I've
Mm-hmm.
never had anything other than that before.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't touch anything else, but I've been reading a lot about ayahuasca specifically, and I've been reading about shrooms as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about it, but I know for sure that there's well, in Atharvana Veda specifically, right? There's like an entire chapter on how a person is supposed to use marijuana.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Can you talk?
and who's the right person to use it? What mind state or mental state they have to be in? What you need to think about when
Can
you're using it?
Can you talk more about it?
I I want to, but I don't want to at the same time, because
Okay.
I'm afraid that people will start taking liberty of,
I see what you're saying.
you know.
Okay. Okay. And why do you use marijuana?
I first started. My mom's going to be watching this one, so this is going to be really interesting. All my friends and family members, I apologize, but now you're going to uncover a different personality of me. I first smoked pot when I was 15-year-old.
What?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, this was in India,
Uh-huh.
and I smoked pot because I was big time into Metallica and Iron Maiden and
Okay.
all the rock bands back in the day. And but I was never hooked onto it. It
Okay.
was just like a one-time thing, and I was laughing like an idiot.
First time when you did it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Like, ROFL. I was literally ROFL that day, right? And I enjoyed it. I'm going to be super candid. I enjoyed it. But then after that, I never did it again for like 6 years,
Okay.
just once,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got out of it. Uh, and then when I came into the US last year, I was smoking pot.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that is because I was experiencing a little bit of pain in my body and in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like the perpetual question of what am I doing here?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to move to the Himalayas, right? That distance, that unknown pain is still somewhere buried in my heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my teacher is in the Himalayas, and so I just long to forever move there. So, and I asked her, "Is it okay for me to smoke pot?" She's like, "As long as you're thinking of the spiritual and the spirituality, it's okay." And fortunately, it just so happens that whenever I smoke pot, that's all I'm thinking about. So for me, to answer your question in short, for me that is a mode of spirituality for sure. Yeah,
It's one
because
of the spiritual
yeah,
practices that.
because all that I do when I smoke pot is like just pray and meditate.
Okay.
But again, I got out of it. I would not recommend for people because you know, you got to be in a certain state of mind for that. That's not fair. That's
Okay.
not fair.
I'll come to more personal questions.
Absolutely.
What is happiness according to you?
Happiness is you being yourself. Happiness is the state for me.
Mm.
I think I'm in a perpetual state of happiness, right? Right.
Okay.
It's
What do you mean by perpetual?
I
Like,
enjoy my sadness as well.
you enjoy your sadness, okay?
Yeah. I enjoy my grieving procedure. I enjoy my lonely time. I enjoy being alone,
Mm-hmm.
and even if I'm sad, even if I'm, let's not use the word sad. Let's go a little beyond. Even if I'm depressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ability to recognize that I'm depressed about something or I'm longing about something, right? In that moment where I'm saying, oh, I actually am able to figure out that I'm depressed, gives me happiness.
Okay.
The moment of recognition, for lack of a better word, right? But then that leads to other questions like, what is permanent in life,
What is correct?
right? The only thing that is permanent is impermanence, right? And whenever you're sad, you have to tell yourself, saying, "This is just a state. It's a gift. So let me use it. Let me be sad, absolutely devastated in this sadness, and enjoy this moment."
Hmm.
When you get to that level, that sadness transforms into happiness.
Got it. And you mentioned about depression, right? So it's a, I say it's a common misconception that I've read about, that people who are very, very spiritual, people who are like yogi kind of people, never get depressed. Sad is like different thing, but depression. Is that true?
I think uh, I think we have to take a step beyond that, right? Let's not categorize that for yogis or for anyone, right? Who is not depressed in life? Everyone is depressed in their life at some point or the other.
Even enlightened people are depressed?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. If
How?
you're not, how can you? There's this beautiful verse. Again, I'm a person.
Yeah.
Um, Purnamidam Purnamadaha, right? It's like, if, in the grand scheme of things, let's ask on the question: if completeness lacks being incomplete, is it truly complete?
Wait. Say that again. Say that again. If.
If completeness
Mm-hmm.
lacks being incomplete, is it ever truly complete?
Wow. It's never complete. Hmm.
Right. So if you don't experience that everything life has to offer to you, how can you ever say that I've truly lived?
Make a good point.
And
But
if you've not truly lived, how can you become enlightened?
but isn't there a point where you reach saying, I wouldn't get to that stage anymore, and I'm gonna receive. When I say receive, like, I'm gonna see everything plainly the way it is, and then where it's neither gonna put me in that exaggerated happiness, or it's neither gonna put me in that state of depression.
Yep. Yep. You will get to that state, but I think let's ask this question in a different way, right?
Yeah.
With a different question,
Hmm.
or rather with a different statement. The problem I think that a lot of people go through is they want life to be on their terms,
Yes, for sure.
right?
Yes, yes.
Change the paradigm. For once, you live life on life's terms.
But that would be very bleak, though.
Why? Because life has everything for you to offer. What do you have to offer to life?
You're right, but I'm a huge Matrix follower. But the thing is, in Matrix, if you remember,
The red pill and the blue pill?
yeah, but before that, he asked, "Do you believe in faith?"
Yeah.
He's like, "No, I don't." He's like, "Why? I don't believe that someone has control over me."
Hmm.
And I'm not saying I'm a control freak. To counter to your question, thinking that life will happen to me and just sitting back, I personally feel it's very bleak. Like, why would you argue against?
Don't argue.
Not for the lack of it. Why would you say against it?
So here is the thing, right?
Uh-huh.
You're looking at you and life as two different entities,
Correct.
but you are life.
You got me on that. Yeah. Yeah.
So whatever life wants to do to you and whatever you want to do to life are one and the same.
True.
Okay. You're looking at it from a different lens. When that those two lenses are going to meet and when they converge, right? You will not have any more to you won't have that exaggerated happiness state, or you won't have that lowest of the low states anymore. Because it's like you're meeting life at life's terms and life is meeting you at your terms. In the grand scheme of things, they both are the same.
Got it. How important is meditation
Absolutely important.
for everyone?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you tell how to meditate? Like, because like when I meditate, sometimes I have like the earphones and the sound ball music. Sometimes I just meditate like with nothing on. Um, and then most of the time they say meditation means trying to focus on your breath. Um, but for me, I struggle with that. My mind is always running. I think about when I sit for meditation, I try to do it for like first probably a minute and then I diverge off, okay, what do I have to do for today? Like, what do I have to do for tomorrow? So, can you tell what's the best way of meditation? More about that?
So let's use the word other than meditation, okay? Because the state of and again in the lineage that we follow, right? It's like you have pratyahara, which is called withdrawal of the senses,
Okay.
okay, and then you have dhyana, okay. Dharana is like one pointed focus, okay, and dhyana, and then finally samadhi.
Correct.
Okay. When we use the word meditation, right? I think it's like people get confused. Okay, what am I supposed to do? Because meditation is it's a it's just a loosely coined word, and we don't know which category to fit that in. Is it pratyahara? Am I withdrawing the senses, or am I having like one pointed focus, or am I like going into like absolute zone of nothingness, which is samadhi, right? What do you think is meditation to you?
For me, I wanted one pointedness.
One pointed focus.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you want to focus on?
When I'm meditating,
Whatever it
no,
is.
overall, overall, like I think my mind runs so fast
Mhm.
that I cannot stop my mind.
Okay.
So I want to focus on one thing. Like when I'm working as well, I'm running a query and I'm answering an email and I'm trying to help someone on Slack. So I'm doing three things at once. I want to meditate on being focused and being at the moment.
Okay.
And the only place that I attain that is when I'm playing cricket.
Okay. Okay.
Other than
Okay.
that, and that like even when I sit for meditation and my point is okay, let me think of my breathing. Like 1 minute later, I'm thinking of another thing, and literally another minute later, I'm on another thing. I'm on another thing. I'm on another thing. Like that's my. I think that's my issue.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. We'll take this in a little bit of scientific way and a little bit in a spiritual way.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you know how to use cameras?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. When we use the word focus or focal length in cameras, right? Does that have anything to do with breath, or does that have anything to do with vision?
Vision.
Right. So why are you focusing on your breath to increase your focus?
I don't know. That's what I read online.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can
That's a good question. I don't know.
So focus has got something to do with drishti. Is the point of focus.
Okay.
Okay. So in the Mysore Ashtanga again we have Trishtana method. Okay.
Okay.
It's three basic things. One is your bandha, which we
Lock.
spoke about, the lock, so that your energy is not dissipated. Okay. And then the second is the breath. Okay. Typically we use something called ujjayi breath. And then the third one is called drishti, the point of focus. Okay. The combination of all these three things is going to take you into a zone of flow. Okay. That's not a word that they use in the thing, but if you read about the modern literature, right? Flow is the zone where you're most productive.
Correct. Flow state.
Flow state.
What's the? There's a book I read about. What's his name?
Jim Quick.
No. Chicks Me High.
Okay.
Yeah, he has written a whole book about flow, like how to attain flow state and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I think what you're trying to achieve is get into that flow state.
Exactly.
Am I
Perfect.
okay?
Yes.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Perfect. Yes. Got it.
All
Yeah.
right.
I want to get into that state. Yes.
Got it. Okay. So here is the thing: you can't immediately get into flow state right away.
Okay.
Okay. It's going to take certain time, right? So the first thing that you want to do is prep your body for it, prep your mind for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Prep your body, prep your mind. Mhm.
Okay. And then, so when we say prep your body, right, obviously, this posture is not going to be conducive for us. We want to sit in the right posture for the right activity.
Okay.
Okay. Think about it this way. If you are a wicket keeper in
Mhm.
cricket, right? Sorry for the international podcast viewers, but you cannot take the stance of a batsman and then try to be a good wicket keeper.
Right.
Would you agree on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So he needs to have a certain posture, okay, and then he needs to have certain, focal
Vision.
vision, the field of focus and everything,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
So that he can get into his flow state.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Similarly, for your work, okay, what would be your field of vision and what would be your posture that is going to be best for your practice?
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
That is prepping.
Correct.
Prepping.
That is the way I would prep for, my work, or
Okay.
how I would start my day and things like that.
Mhm.
Right. From a scientific perspective. Now, from the perspective of, how can I tune my mind in to get into that, right? That's where we start using our breath.
Got it.
Okay. Um, so you can try to do this. And then how do you control it when you engage your bandhas? And then when you fold your tongue a little, roll your tongue back, like,
Mhm.
and then breathe through your nose and then breathe out through your nose a few times. Okay? It's going to calm your system down.
Already did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then close your eyes. And then first look at the tip of the nose after you close your eyes and slowly and gently take the vision up to the Bhrumadhya.
That is
That is the eyebrow.
okay.
The third eye.
Third eye.
Yeah. That's a form of meditation.
Awesome. And does it help also with? I also get distracted. When I say distracted, like unnecessary distraction of a phone.
Mhm.
Does it also help with that?
To a little bit.
To a certain
But again, your distractions are in your control.
extent.
When people say I'm distracted, right? It's like the next thing is what's distracting you, right? And then they say the phone.
Yes.
Actually, you are distracting the phone. The phone wants to be silent. No one's going to call you unless you want them to call you.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to get any notifications unless you want to get the
You want to
notification,
see the notification.
right?
Yeah.
So who's forcing you to have an Instagram account,
That's true. You make a good point.
right? So you got to control your mind on that. It's difficult. I know it, but you gotta do it.
Yeah, I'm being very vulnerable, but I struggle from that distraction. It's just because I'm I like to see with problems more internally than externally.
Mhm.
So I don't want to say that I mean it's easy for me to say you asked a good question. Who asked you to have an Insta? It's easy for me to say I started off as social media analyst and I still do data for my company, and it's kind of, I would say, not ultimate necessary but kind of necessary because I want to see some ads, like how our competitors are pushing ads. Having that as a reason, it's making me go on Instagram and I do that 0.0001%, and 99.99% I do everything other than that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know, like I'm working on it right now. It's been a big struggle, but I'm working on it in order to like get less distracted with the phone.
I'm not quoting you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, you can.
This is my own quote. Okay. An infinite scroll is an idiot's playground.
True.
So if any web page, any application has like an infinite scroll, you got to set the limits on that because that app wants you to
Wants you to do that.
engage in it. They are making money off it. What are you making of it?
Nothing. Just yeah, nothing.
Right. And take it one step ahead. Okay. And we'll talk about this one because I think this is also absolutely important for all the people to notice and observe within themselves, right? Your food gives you nourishment
Mhm.
for your energy, right? Your eyes give the nourishment to your brain. So what are you watching,
Correct.
right? And in Sanskrit, we have this beautiful saying, Sarvendriyanam Nayanam Pradhan. Of all the sense organs, your eyes are the most important.
Hmm.
It's because your eyes give the food to your brain.
Got it. Got it. For me, see, this is where I got into that trick. Like I asked the same question initial stage where I felt like I'm not scrolling infinitely. I'm I'm looking at business videos. I'm looking at like stoic quotes. I'm learning something. I'm learning something. But at a point, like I'm doing the same thing meaninglessly now. There's no meaning to it. Yeah. So that's where like I felt initially I felt that, but now it's like still doing the same thing, but I'm not there's nothing that I'm learning new. There's nothing that I'm feeding
I
new.
think you want to do is, first of all, the key to using your digital media,
Mm-hmm.
right, is don't do it in the first 2 hours after you wake up, and don't do it the last 2 hours before you go to bed. It's absolutely important for people to notice this, because that sets the momentum for your day, and that sets the momentum for the way you're sleeping. Because your brain is still working when you're sleeping.
Yes.
That's why you dream
Yes.
and everything,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So whatever you see in the last 2 hours of your day, right, or whatever you read about, that's going to have a major, major impact on your life. And whatever you want to do for the first 2 hours of your day, that's going to have a major impact for the rest of the day.
Oh my god, I'm guilty about that too. Like this morning when I woke up around 5:30, and I scrolled for 15-20 minutes early in the morning.
So I think the best time to probably do it, if you
Engage.
want to
If you
engage in social media, is like do it at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Take a little, break, 15 to 28-minute break. Say these 20 minutes I'm going to waste.
yeah,
Tell your mind it's okay. It's okay for you to enjoy your content,
indulge.
right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, what are you indulging in? That is important, right? So that's where the
Yeah.
fiction of Vivek,
Wait. Yeah.
these two factors come in. It's like whatever I'm observing right now, is this going to help me achieve my goals, or is this going to take me further away from my goals? The same reason why porn is such a huge problem in our society.
True.
It is.
Absolutely.
It's like you if you've seen porn ever.
I mean, okay.
I saw
Yeah.
porn,
Yeah.
but I don't watch porn.
I don't indulge in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Whatever you're feeding, right? The best way for you to know that what you see is directly impacting your brain is through porn. Because you see something and now you want to try to explore on that. It's like,
Seek it.
yeah, don't. So make sure, if you want to become like a good podcaster, right? Get into the fine schematics of
Podcasting.
okay. Like if I were you, again, I don't know anything about the podcasting business, right? But since we spoke about it a little bit
Yeah.
early in the morning, the way I would want to do is, okay, if I'm watching a podcast, okay, I'm going to observe this podcaster for like 3 episodes, okay, and I'm going to see if they have like a set format. I'm going to see like what's their studio setup like. I'm going to see if they have like background music. What's their animation procedure like? Those are the things that you want to focus on, right? Sure, content is important, but is it conducive to your goal? Because
Correct.
if you want to be on the other side of it, you want to observe the fine schematics.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think you want to break it down in those terms so that you can be further closer to your goals.
Definitely.
Then farther away.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. I've always been this um analytical minded. Like my podcast is one of my passion projects. The other one is like I want to be a director, and I used to write down the movies that I saw, what I liked, what I didn't like, and amongst what I didn't like, what I personally would have done to make it better. And then I had few, I wouldn't say formulas, but I had few theories like this is why a movie is going to be good. Like why if I pick like 50 good movies and 50 bad movies based on my taste, what these 50 have in common versus what this 50 doesn't. So I tried to dissect a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but
It's both. It's both.
right? You get it the other side of it too.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then the key point that I'm trying to say is whatever content that you're watching, it is food for your brain.
Everything. Good, bad, ugly, everything.
Everything, right? So pay keen observation. And then don't go for clickbaits.
Hmm.
They always want to have like a catchy title so that
Right,
it
right,
keeps you
absolutely.
and everything. I would say if have like dedicated podcasters who you're going to observe.
Right.
And then just say, okay, this week I'm going to say I'm going to see like 3 podcasts,
Podcast from him.
and then I'm going to make notes of it, and then I'm going to switch over to another person instead of like infinitely just going through that.
Sure.
That would probably be my
No, definitely. I definitely take your advice on that. It's interesting. Like when we both met in the gym. I don't know if I told you the story, right? I have my hair up and he has his hair down, but Someone in the gym recently asked if we both are brothers, and in fact, if both are twins.
Oh wow. Okay. I can definitely see that though.
He's like, "Is that your twin brother? Was that you working out?" And I clearly know because I didn't go to gym for a couple months, and I
Right.
knew that he was referring to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he's my friend. He's like, "Oh my god, you both look like, are you related or something?"
Yeah.
Like, so same southern part of India.
I think we should give a close. Hey, so I think that's how it looks
Yeah,
like.
it does. It does. It definitely does. Um, so when I approached you, I was like, so I said hi, and I came back. I'm like, wait, I know he knows a lot about yoga. We've spoken a lot when we were stretching about Kegels, and
Yep.
you have educated me like when I was stretching, what's the right way to stretch. So I really wanted to have you on podcast, and it was like amazing that you also said yes and you loved the idea.
Mhm.
The one thing that really struck is usually what I do in my podcast is I try to craft my podcast based on what the guest wants. And most of my guests, like, they like to have the questions before. Sometimes they at least want to know, like, what are my thought process of questions, like, roughly. It's not like scripted one, but roughly, okay, I want to talk about 10 topics. These are 10 topics that I want to talk about. When I asked you the same thing, you said, no, Raghu, don't do anything. I want you to just know what basics of yoga is, but I want you to come with blank mind. Right? And why was that? Why did you say that sentence? I didn't want to ask you before because I wanted to ask you on spot here. Why was that blankness important? You clearly mentioned come with blank mind, Raghu.
So that's a beautiful question. Man, wow, what a beautiful way to ask that, right? I'm going to try to give it in as creative way as I could
Yeah.
match up to your answer, right? At some level, what we are doing is knowledgeable art.
Correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
We are painting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to paint on something that is already painted, or do you want a blank canvas?
I want a complete blank canvas so I can express myself.
That's exactly what we did.
Wow. Wow. Okay. It's a beautiful artistic way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what also happens is, if you gave me the questions
Mm-hmm.
before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would want to decorate it in a certain way, and the spontaneity of that is lost.
Mm.
And for anyone who know me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm a spontaneous person. I like to just get into my zone at that moment and then get the answer. Like the answer is that if you ask me the same exact questions tomorrow, the answers might be completely different.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe that whatever is the answers that I gave could be a bit of my experience, but it's also something else talking through me.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to explain that, right? It's like when I say that innate Kundalini or
Mm-hmm.
Chit Shakti, right? That's what I feel, right? Today the answers they happen to be like this. Maybe because today this is exactly what you and the viewers needed to hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow the answers could be completely different. Tomorrow, if you ask me, hey, is Kundalini energy need to have like certain rules and everything? I'd be like, absolutely. Who the heck are you to follow Kundalini energy without even getting initiated?
Yeah.
So, but I, I don't think I would say that. But I'm just giving.
Yeah, you're giving an example.
It changes. The consciousness is free. So
Exactly.
let it go through its own freedom.
Yeah. What is that quote? No same man enters the same river twice.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
It's amazing. I love that quote. Knowing you, and like, I've learned a lot from you, and I've learned a lot from myself too.
Oh,
Like,
that's beautiful.
that's like really, I've learned a lot. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you.
Me
It was
too. Me
amazing.
too. Yep.
Do you have any last words for our viewers who stuck around this long?
I think the part that you and I both struck with, I'm just going to say that verse. Chitti Swatantra Vishwa Siddhi. Consciousness, free and independent, is the cause of everything in this universe.
Wow.
So read through that, stay happy, stay peaceful.
One more last question before I end this. Is there any book that you would recommend for people who wants to get into yoga? Like, this was an important question that I forgot to ask. Is there a book that you would recommend for someone to get into yoga? And if someone wants to start doing yoga, like, what is the best way to start doing yoga?
Okay, that's a really good question.
Mhm.
I'm not going to go into the postural practice of it because there's like too much information on that
Exactly.
online, right? A good book to get started for when we say yoga, I would say let's take it a step further. Uh, Trying to create a new life or lifestyle for yourself. What's a good book for that, right? Um, I would say a simple read like The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari would be a pretty good place to start. But if you're looking from like an absolute scriptural perspective, Bhagavad Gita, absolutely, yeah.
Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata? Which one?
Mahabharata is the whole amalgamation of it, right?
Yeah.
I would say Bhagavad Gita it's a good start, but do a little bit of research on what led to
What led
Bhagavad
to
Gita,
Gita?
right? And then how do I start doing yoga every
Yoga.
day? That's the other question.
See, I've never done yoga.
Okay.
Someone says like, Ranjan, I've never done yoga. I mean, I've played sports and lifted weights. I want to get into yoga.
Yeah.
Is there a way? What should I follow? Is there a video that I should follow? Is there a book I should follow? Is there a person I should follow? Like being in US, my content is mostly US driven. So being in US, what is the best way to do it?
I have an idea. Okay. How about we do something like once a month asana or something like that on your podcast?
I would love it.
That would
Yeah.
transform yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But prior to that, how would one start? Wake up early, take a cold water shower every day.
That is yoga.
That is yoga.
Really?
Yeah. Do it consistently. First, let that routine and discipline stick to you, and then slowly you'll build from there.
Okay.
Let's not try to do like a headstand inversion right on day one, because when we say yoga, that's the first thing that people
That's
are
what everybody
exactly.
visions it. I've never knew that just take a cold water shower. That's your starting yoga. Okay.
Trust me, wake up first thing in the morning at like between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. When I say first thing in the morning, that is between 4:30 and that. People have like night shifts and everything. Obviously, it's going to
Adjust. Yeah.
adjust, right? Uh, and take a cold water shower immediately. Don't look at your phone. Nothing.
Straight cold water.
Straight up, go take a cold water shower, and then see how difficult that is. And then you'll be like, oof.
It is
Okay.
very difficult.
It is,
And I've tried it. It's very difficult.
but do that for like the first 30 days.
What are the advantages of it?
First of all, cold water showers will like immediately wake up your brain. Like,
Really?
oh yes, absolutely. They send like a shock through your system, right? And especially like at some power points in your body. And here are some tricks. The ones that I've noticed myself, right? When you go into a cold water shower, um, immediately turn the shower on and then let it sink in your armpits. It's a sensitive part, right?
Okay.
So the first thing when you do it, it's going to be like, whoof, it's going to send a shock, and then your body is going to start getting used to normal.
Okay.
At that point on, right? And then it reduces inflammation and body pains like to an unbelievable level. It's just miraculous. It's next level. It's next level. Yeah.
And do you have any take on? Off lately, I've been reading about. I mean, listening to podcasts and reading about like the cold water plunge and the hot sauna.
Yep.
And they're doing it simultaneously. And I've heard the other side of the argument where it's you're actually not doing good for your body. Do you have any thought process on that?
Like combine both of them. I did try the Wim Hof. Before. Wim Hof is like you take plunge in the ice.
Ice. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
essentially, it's by this person called I can't remember his name, but the method is called Wim Hof method. And then there's like a certain breathing technique that you have to engage in it. It's like 1 minute and like just staying in ice completely submerged. And it was a beautiful experience and I loved it. I loved it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I did not try the other end of it where I immediately go into the
hot
thing,
sauna.
but my mind for some reason says it's probably not conducive. Yeah, because it's like sending your mind into a perpetual state of shock
Exactly. Immediately.
I probably could not do it for myself. Yeah, because I think I would rather have the body build the heat internally, because oof man, that's going to be a whole different thing. The entire purpose of yoga is to asana practice is to build the heat in your body.
Like warm up your body.
Uh,
Oh no.
Internally.
Internally. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like two things. One is Jeerna Shakti, right?
Oh,
One is
yeah.
the digestive
Digestion.
force, right? And then the other thing is called tapa. So when we say tapasya, right, it's like you're building the heat. Tapa in Hindi or Sanskrit is
Sanskrit.
heat, essentially, right? You want to build the heat to your favorite topic again, so that you wake up the dormant Kundalini serpent inside your body. That's enormous.
I like how you said it's my favorite topic. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone wants to start yoga. I think you've got a lot. I like the idea of like, having once a month just doing asanas and yeah, just you helping me and saying this is the right way to do. And is there a right way and wrong way of doing like asanas?
Um,
Because if my body is not as flexible as someone,
Mhm.
so would you say that I'm doing an asana wrong?
Well, I think we need to ask you another question before that. Why are you comparing yourself with someone?
That's a good question.
Right. Your body is flexible to your body.
To my
You're not in their body, so why do
Okay.
you want to compare it with them?
Okay.
You don't have their lifestyle, you don't have their diet. So
You basically answered my question. So there's no wrong way of that.
there's no wrong way. But don't I would say for anything, even when you're working out, even when you're doing cardio or running or anything, right? Don't go 100%. Never go 100%, right? Go max to like 85%.
Mm,
That's where the happy state is. Because when you go like all the way onto the 100%, right? You're going to have a burnout really quick,
got it.
right? So stay at the happy zone, 85%, so that you have that extreme longevity as well.
Got it. Got it.
So when you're stretching, don't like stretch when you say don't stretch beyond your means.
Mhm.
I think that's apt even for yoga. Don't stretch
Correct.
beyond your abilities and your means, right? Stretch to like 80%, and let the body do the work.
Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Ranjan.
Oh,
Thanks for coming.
thank you, Raghu, for having
Thank
me.
you.
This is fantastic, and I hope to come back to your show again.
I would love to have you again. We still have lots to talk. I have this Sanatana Dharma that I really want to pick apart because I have also practiced different religion in my childhood. I've been into spirituality as myself.
Mhm.
And I have certain take on things, and I would love to hear your take on things. And I've never come across saying that Hindu was a word coined by British, and I didn't know about Sanatana Dharma. And I want to really deep dive into the topic and talk about it because at that point we're not even actually talking about a religion. To be honest, when the way you express it, we're not talking about a religion at all. If you say because every religion has like a god that is being followed. Some of them there's some deity that they follow. But if you're saying in Sanatana Dharma, like even atheists fall under that,
Mhm.
so that means there's that I have a lot of questions to ask. So that'll be another episode, and I would love to
Absolutely.
have you again.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And yeah, for anyone who's curious, you'll never encounter the word called Hindu in any of the Vedas.
Really?
Yeah, there's no word called Hindu in the Vedas.
Okay. And is it always referred as Sanatana Dharma?
There's no reference at all.
No reference at all.
Dharma is a reference that you'll come very often in any of the scriptures that we have. Right?
Okay.
But yeah, let's save it for
Save it for
for
the third episode.
the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. And any last words again? Like I know I asked last time, but anything else that you have in your mind
I
to
think
express?
as much as possible, try to cut down on your digital consumptions.
Okay.
Because it's important. We are at some level, right? Hmm, I have this thing, uh, Apple Vision Pro.
Yes.
Since that's a new thing, right?
Yes.
If you guys buy it, be cognizant about it because when we back in the day, did you see RoboCop, the movie?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
When you put that on your face, you are becoming a robot,
Right. Cyborg. Yeah.
right? So be conscious about it. Do you want to be a human or do you want to become a robot? If you're like constantly just wearing that and not having any more human interactions, you've essentially become a machine.
Yes.
So use machines to your advantage to not become a machine yourself. I think that's my
Amazing.
word.
Amazingly said.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening, viewers. And I personally learned a lot, and I feel like I've grown a lot in last 1.5 hour. I hope it's you feel the same. And yeah, looking forward to have him again. And thank you so much.
You're welcome.